conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, Belchertown. It is 7 o'clock. Welcome to the February 24th, 2026 meeting of your planning board. We're just recording on the Owl tonight. We don't have BCTV. They're having equipment issues again. So we don't have a live audience. This is not going out over channel 191. You'll have to visit belchertown.com and look up the archive meetings if you want to listen to it. But we don't have a lot on the agenda tonight. We've got an A&R, which is a minor subdivision that requires us to sign off. And we have a recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit on Warren Wright Road for Mr. Kenny. And that doesn't require us to make a determination, but a recommendation to the ZBA, which will be meeting, I think it's March 18th, to make a determination on the actual application. We've got another item that we had put down on the agenda, which was to go through our goals for the coming year. Every year, we do pick out 2 or 3 items that we think the board should be working on extracurricularly as we go along during the year to bring new pieces of work to the town meeting or to work on plans and projects that can't be solved in a couple of hours. You know, something we need to work on over a period of time. So we'll be talking about that. We have additions to the agenda with consent of the members. If it's a non-voting item, we've got minutes from our last meeting, bills, and I did see we had some bills to pay, our town planner report, and our member reports. Nothing is timed tonight, but I assume we should start off with the A&R. It's the one signature item that we do. I've got that here. And spread it in front of everybody. Mr. Doug, you want to give us the?
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, I left this one here today.
Oh, all right.
What we have in the yellow outline are the existing lots. And the big bold black outline, that dashed outline will be the new property lines, and you can see the old lot lines disappearing, the thin dashed lines. So same number of lots. And so right now that's one. And this is an estate lot. This is one. And that's one, and you're just shifting that there, and that there. Not intuitively obvious.
So they're essentially just buying,
No.
just dropping this one.
The present lot is, that's one,
It's 2.
that's one, and this is
The
existing.
This Okay.
Existing one. So they're getting rid of the dashed line.
Okay.
And it's gonna be the third
Okay. So it's a single lot. This would be a pork chop.
Yep.
And then this is going to be another pork chop.
one. Not technically, no.
Okay. Okay.
That one,
But
yeah,
Okay. So this is a
lot line.
that's a standard lot.
standard lot. Okay.
Well,
They're
we're
not
not
gonna
gonna
be shifted
Yeah.
over. They're all the same family too from what I
Yeah,
understand.
all the same owners.
Yeah.
Thomas and Deborah.
Oh, it's
That one's different, and then that one's different. Those aren't part of this.
So we're starting out with 4 lots,
That's not.
Mhm.
And you're gonna end
and
with 4.
we're going to end with 4.
Correct.
1801,
So this line is gonna be-
1903.
Correct.
Yeah, this dash
The
line.
revised estate lot in the back.
And then this
Revised estate lot and
And the revised
lot
lot.
19.
That goes away.
All right, they didn't write that in on the application. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So it'll be
So we're creating one new buildable lot.
No.
No.
They're all building lots as it is.
No, but as far as an empty lot,
1903.
lots that are not currently built on that will be buildable.
So is that. So they
Okay.
already have, they didn't.
These already exist.
They did not add any
Nice.
building lots.
Got it. Okay. They've just rearranged
Nice.
the
Rearranged
size of the existing.
Probably-
Okay.
Probably, well, to keep this driveway on one property, but also then to maybe fit perks and all that stuff.
Yep. Okay.
Got it? Got it.
No,
All right, is there a strategy here? I mean, is there a reason this is happening, or they didn't really identify one?
He didn't say. I'm going to guess, well, on one of them, it's to keep the driveway on one parcel, and the others, it might be a matter of fitting in perk tests and stuff like that. I don't know.
there are some wetlands back in the back of revised 19 where it angles down now.
Yeah.
That moves the wetland out of 19 and into the revised estate lot.
Yeah.
And I think this convolution of the driveway and whatnot is to get around, so they don't have to cross.
That makes sense, yeah. Liz, did you follow that?
So 180 total, 126 total. I think that's 55 of these parallel. 55. 55.2, and there, so that's correct. This is 140. So they all comprise of better boulevard, butters. We've got the north area, we've got the Lucas, we've got a signed. And there's the order of record on here. Yeah. I think I identified the order of record on each individual lot.
The only thing I see that is a technicality is, and we asked that the surveyor put down the name and address of the applicant or the owner on the plan, and all they have is the name. But, yeah, I don't really think that's a major defect. Well, Eaton, the surveyor Eaton over in Hadley, they do plans with us all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't remember running into this issue with them, not putting the address down, so,
Usually he's pretty thorough.
yeah.
He's trained.
I don't think it's a reason to hold the plan up though, or to send it back. It's otherwise a conforming A&R. We've got the locus in the upper right. The surveyor's stamp is on it. They've got all the butters properly identified. The frontages have all been maintained. And we've got 4 lots going in, 4 lots going out. All we're doing is just moving some lines along to convenience the owner of the property. So, does anybody else have any structural issues with the A&R? Make a motion. Approve the A&R for Thomas and Deborah at Licky for map. Fingers to work here. 278, which is existing lots 18, 19, 19.02, and 20, which herein will be after will be reconfigured as 18.01, 19.03, revised 19, and the revised estate lot. Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Hoffler. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, move it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
And Elizabeth is helping you to
You need a roll call vote if you remote member.
you're a yes, I was a yes.
Yes.
I was a yes, Leonard was a yes, and Elizabeth's put her hand up as a yes. 5-0. We'll have 4 people on the signatures. Did you want to come in, Elizabeth, later and sign it also, or you want to just let it go forward the way it is? It'll be legal the way it is. Can't hear you. All right, you can hear us. You got audio? Yeah. We're not hearing you. And I did check the Office of Tax Collector delinquent taxpayer list for this one. It wasn't on there. So I did check that. Okay, next in order was the ZB recommendation for special permit for 167 Warren Wright Road. That's petitioners. No, something just wrong. All right, it's a Joshua Kenny, who actually lives at 48 Meeting House Road, and he is planning to take the house at 167 Warren Wright Road, which is currently configured, if I understand it, as a 3-family. So there's 3 flats in there.
3 units, yeah.
3 units. And he wants to now create a 4th unit. And that's going to require a special permit. The granting authority would be the zoning board of appeals. And we're being asked to review, make whatever comments we might have or recommendations to the board of appeals. So I've never been in this house, but I've been by it about a zillion times. It's the old topping farm.
Yep.
And did it originally go over to the town and then the house got sold off?
No,
No, they only sold off the well fields to the town.
they sold 3 sections on, well, actually 4 sections on all 4 corners for town bought for conservation. Where this house is where that's due. And directly across Warren Wright Road, there was another similar house that burned. That's where Colonel Topping died. And there's a strip of land along Orchard Street frontage. So Topping still owns that.
Didn't part of that go into the preserving well fields?
No, that was Dave Gold. That was
All right, I'm thinking of something
probably
else.
Goodell Street. Well, actually, the Goodell Street section abuts. It's not Dave, but it's near there. And yeah, there are well fields, but it's abuts.
Okay. This not gonna happen. I'm just curious as to the layout of that property, because I was thinking through years ago, and it's got nothing to do with the property though. Now, we didn't get any schematics, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
some pictures?
They're there in the large sheets. The large sheets.
There they are, okay. So everybody's seeing the schematics. And
So essentially they're converting the garage.
so there's 2 kitchens on the first floor,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna put 2 kitchens on the second floor.
Mhm.
So it's just gonna be 2 and 2, like stacked up. I thought maybe they were going into a 3rd floor, because isn't there a full walk-up attic on that house too? I think it's.
I don't know, but, it's
Yeah,
the
that's
back
pretty
part of
shallow.
it's sort of offset, elevation wise.
I'm saying,
But I think,
They're converting a garage.
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
which is under the back.
Well, in their quest for affordable housing, I think that this would maybe not be counted with the Department of Community and Housing, but it would provide an additional reasonably priced housing unit for somebody in town.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So maybe generally the best idea to try to keep existing housing stock viable, which if he's investing this kind of money in it, it must be doing some major rehab on it.
Oh, totally gutting it from what I can see. All new windows, they sandblasted the bricks.
So it's an old house, it's gonna continue to be used. Now, there was a little jabber before the meeting about firefighting, about the sprinklers.
Oh, yeah, so I was impressed that he's going to install sprinkler systems throughout the entire house with this renovation, which I thought was a nice improvement, especially considering how far this house is from a response location.
Yeah.
Whether it's Amherst Fire or Belchertown Fire or Granby Fire.
Yeah.
Installing an entire house worth of sprinkler system, I thought was admirable on their part.
Yeah.
If you're gonna tear the house all to pieces, now you can get the pipes in.
And, I don't know, where are you gonna put the water tank for it? It has to have a pressurized tank.
Don't know the design.
Basement.
Yes. Yeah, probably.
I don't know that much about sprinkler systems. You had to keep them totally pressurized when you lose it. You have fire and you lose electricity. Usually I thought they had to be public water, didn't they?
You can do it on private.
You can do it on
Yeah,
private.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, fire code people are pushing for it.
One concept is to put the water in the attic and use gravity.
But then you gotta build a structure to
Holy,
Well,
that's a lot of weight.
More, a lot of water.
That's a lot of weight.
especially if you put a couple of feet of snow on it.
It's nice.
Seems to be happening more often.
Quick question on this. Are we concerned about parking for 4 units? It doesn't seem to be identified anywhere on that.
Well, I thought he addressed that.
Did he? I must have missed that. I was looking for it, but I didn't see it. They're taking away the garage. Like I said, I'm not particularly concerned with it. I just want to bring it up.
Yeah. The outdoor.
In the online paperwork I've read about the parking.
Okay. Yeah, because there's 2, he has it identified as it requires 2 per unit, so it'd be 8. I'm not seeing the.
We do have some additional paperwork here from the Stormwater Conservation Commission, the Stormwater Coordinator. Says, if the work is conducted according to plan, it is within the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction, will need to file an RDA permit request. So it'll have to go to Conservation. And then we got a letter from the Department of Public Works, or not, well, it's going to the ZBA, but a copy came to us. Reviewing provided documents, Department of Public Works has no comments or concerns regarding this matter at this time. So there was no concern there. They claim that the existing septic system is already designed for the extra bodies that we're going to put in the structure. So I'm assuming that the Board of Health is not going to weigh in on this, if there's already an adequate system there. I haven't seen anything about the address the parking.
So here on the, here it is.
Oh,
So parking plan note, the proposed parking plan is based on the proposed conversion of current 3 to a 4-unit dwelling. 8 dedicated spaces and 2 visitor spaces are proposed. All spaces are 9 by 18.
I see. It's very faint. It says proposed gravel parking. It is lined in there. It's between the house and the barn.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's on, the
Yeah.
written note is.
Yeah, I see that now. Okay. It's just so faint it is.
Yep.
I see that now. All right.
Okay, so we're charged, or the ZBA will be charged, and our recommendation falls under 145, 169. And 145, 69, sorry. Special permits. Special permits may be granted are found not to be detrimental to the established and future character of the town and neighborhood, will not nullify or substantially derogate from the intent and purpose of the zoning district in which they are located, and are in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter. Conditions, safeguards, and limitations on time or use may be imposed when deemed appropriate. I mean, it seems to fit into the neighborhood. Obviously, it's going to be in the same 4 walls of that house. We're not even expanding the footprint of the house. Maybe the house will get new siding, but it's not going to change in its overall appearance. So we're not really, and it's already used as a multifamily, so we're not going to substantially derogate from the purpose or intent of the zoning district. It's an existing use, and we're just expanding on that. It seems to be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the chapter. So I would like to recommend to the ZBA that we find no conditions need to be added to this, subject to comments that might come out of the Conservation Commission, and that it fully meets 4569 special permits subparagraph A, and should be approved accordingly. I have a second.
I'll second.
Lauren seconded it. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, move to a vote. Roll call it again. What was
Aye.
I'm an aye.
All right.
Aye. Leonard's an aye. Elizabeth.
Aye.
Aye. Now we can hear her. I did check the delinquent taxpayer list on this one too. There wasn't any concerns on that one. So we don't have any signature document to make. You will make a letter available in the next 2 weeks to the ZBA.
Yep.
Saying that we bless this.
So my statement is that it may not increase our affordable housing, but it will increase our housing that's affordable.
All right, next thing is the minutes. From February 10th, there was one modification to them here yesterday. yesterday or today, I can't remember which day I read it. But the minutes before us now are as modified. It's from February 10th, 2026. Does anybody have any further additions, deletions, editorial comments that they want to make on the minutes as they've been presented? Hearing none, I'm gonna move it to a vote. So I'll ask that we approve the minutes as written on February 10th, 2026. And that is seconded by Leonard. It's your turn.
I will second that.
Leonard seconded it. So motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'm gonna move it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Elizabeth, we can hear her as aye. Let the record show 500. Minutes right away. Bills. We do have one bill for WB Mason with the yellow truck with the little funny guy on the side for office supplies for $16.88. You want to talk about goals first? Or you want to move on to town planner report and then talk about the goals? Let's talk about the goals. And everybody was supposed to think of something. I've got a couple that I thought in a hurried 15 minutes. But I don't want to start. I was going to let the circulate from the board go first in case we have competitive ideas. But I will write down anything. We usually have ideas.
We have two big projects going this year with the land use plan and the zoning revision,
The zoning map.
There's only one.
not just the map, but
Good.
part of the bylaw too.
I'm sorry, the zoning bylaws?
Yeah.
Who's doing that? Where?
We are with Fussin' O'Neill, we got a grant.
Now, that's something that's moving through the select board too.
Yeah.
They're supposedly putting together a bylaws committee, and they're gonna review the whole zoning bylaw scheme for the town. So I don't know how our bylaw review is gonna interact with that committee's. Now, I don't think that committee has been actually charged up yet, has it?
Government study that was recommended in the DLS audit. Every time this comes up, we say we should put together the committee and get started. And everyone says it's gonna take a long time. The zoning review is separate, so this project is fully supported by the manager and the select board. We did get a grant for it, so.
All right, if there is a committee that gets charged with reviewing them, then we're gonna be allowed to do our own review, or are we
No,
gonna?
no, this project will not be taken, it'll be taken up by you guys. This
So-
zoning
So
review,
you're talking about bylaws like dogs and,
right, like,
yeah.
I mean, there's the full government study.
Yeah.
Right, like, which is looking at everything comprehensively, like, town, the form of government, period, right? But I think the zoning revisions will need to happen regardless, right?
yeah, we got.
So that we can make sure that we can maximize the amount of economic development that we have for us, and not just for our residents.
So we've got two different things going on. One is a comprehensive look at all of the bylaws, whether it's
Yeah, we're
zoning
not
or
doing-
otherwise.
We're not doing that yet,
But that is one bylaw review. And zoning is only one small subset of all of the bylaws we have. Is that in the works? Is that planned to think about that maybe someday we'll get around to it?
I mean, I would love to, Mike.
But
I'm all for it.
Is there anything active?
No,
Okay.
But we.
That's
put
fine.
in- Yes, we put in for the one stop for this specific,
Separate from that is within the zoning,
yes.
it's the zoning map and the land use map and the actual, Ag A, Ag B type of delineation. And that's with the Fuss and O'Neill, and that is, in its infancy, but there is some traction there.
Yeah, so there's
And-
the zoning review, which we got the grant through the one stop, that's Fuss and O'Neill, right? And then PVPC is helping with the land use section
Correct.
of the master plan. So they're two separate projects
But they
happening
need
simultaneously.
to coalesce.
Yes.
So last week, I had an initial meeting with PVPC to discuss how we're gonna do that. Today, I met with Fuss and O'Neill to discuss how to get that going. They're gonna work up a scope, because we could have a dream zoning revision, which, if we had a couple $1 million in a few years, we could do. Or we can have, target things that we specifically need to address. So, schedule of uses, do we want to change any of the actual zones and their definitions and requirements? Like Ag A and Ag B are almost the exact same thing, except you can have commercial agriculture inside one of them. So stuff like that, we probably want to refine some. And stuff to foster economic development. Whatever else I was just thinking of and slipped my mind, but yeah, all that stuff.
So for my clarity, because I'm a little bit dense here, Fuss and O'Neill is gonna work on the land use.
No,
Zoning.
that's
No.
PVPC.
PVPC is gonna work on the land use.
Yes.
Okay, the layout of what is zoning 1, zoning 2, zoning 3,
No,
zoning
no,
4.
no, 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 totally separate. Land use plan of the community plan is more general than that. So we're saying, just like the other sections of the community plan, what goals do we have? How do we, want this to be? Zoning is going to be the tool we use
How
to
do you-
implement it, right?
Goals and tools.
So zoning to me then is two different aspects. One aspect is this piece of property is being categorized in a certain way.
Yeah.
That zoning. Separate from that, within 145, we've got 70 different bylaws in there, depending on whether you're gonna put in a commercial solar array or whether you're gonna have a dog kennel. Okay, that zoning, irrespective of not irrespective of the property, but that zoning review versus the individual piece of property is now gonna be categorized as agriculture -7 or whatever, whatever it is. Those are two different things, two different reviews to me.
Yeah, okay, land use plan, what's the big, do we want to preserve farmland? Do we want to, have more business areas? Do we want to do something with traffic and, land use? Zoning says, here's this piece of property and it's zoned general business, so you can put a barber shop there, but here are the standards and you can't put, a nuclear missile silo. At least not a private one. We need to look at the schedule of uses. What we want in it, get rid of some of the stuff that's obsolete. And unrealistic. And then I think we really need to look at parking. And because right now it's kind of prohibitive for some businesses. And then signage is always a nice, friendly topic to take on. Oh, and the Creative Economy Committee has some affection for dealing with farm stands and little craft stands that people put out, sheds, stuff like that, yeah.
Within all of that, where do you look at our requirement that there be 140 feet of frontage as opposed to 120 feet or 200 feet of frontage? Where do we look at the setback requirements? Or I don't know, is that under schedule of uses? No.
No,
That's under the dimensional requirement. So where does that get reviewed in all of this? That we're gonna define this as being single residential, but we're gonna take a hard look at what that means to the property owner. Where does that fall under this?
It's gonna be both schedule of uses and dimensional requirements. If we wanna somehow reduce frontage requirements or, make estate lots by special permit or something else, that's kind of stuff we would be considering.
Under the Fuss and O'Neill law.
Yeah.
That's where I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, the zoning one is gonna be the technical one. The land use plan is more
Goals.
less technical. So the zoning one, we'll have to engage our lawyers. The land use plan, we won't have to do that.
My big concern is trying to do some forward-looking planning on the zoning, because the way the map is set up now is so haphazard.
Yeah.
That's the way development is happening, is haphazardly. It's spotted all over the place. And that was drawn from the usage of those particular properties when the map was instituted,
Yes.
Decades ago.
70 years ago.
And doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the best place to have business development now.
Correct.
And I've always thought that it would be a good idea to go one step further with that and talk with the representatives of the sewer department.
Yeah.
Which the sewer commissioners, actually, it's the select board.
Right.
So we'd have to have a conversation with them or wherever they designate, and with the water district. Because if we're gonna actually plan where businesses are gonna go, it might be based on actually expanding, at the very least improving, but it may be expanding those two systems.
Yeah,
Which,
exactly.
if
And
we
right now,
can't
the
redraw
water-
the map and then leave those two functions out of the
You
mix.
can't at all. No, and the water district right now is scrambling with DEP to try to get their discharge their,
Their uptake.
yeah, the opposite of discharge permit.
Are we up against the DEP permit level? Because the
no,
DEP
what-
only allows a town
Here's what's happened.
to
is
pump
that-
so much water.
Yeah, and the district has been seeking to increase it. And DEP has actually tried to cut it back. So there was a scramble. And, I do a bunch of, land use analysis, what's being used here, what could be there, and how much could be built. For them just to retain the withdrawal permit that we have.
I didn't realize they were trying to cut it back
Yeah, and now we need to increase it.
because we're using too much water.
No, they fear that groundwater will be depleted.
So this is just a speculative
Yes.
concern.
Yep.
Well, in the meantime,
From what
we
you-
can't really continue to develop business in town without having water.
From what you just were talking about, does it, in my mind, it then, I have to ask the question, do we need the PVPC land use thought process before
Yes.
So what's the schedule on that?
The land use plan will be easier to do, I think. And we want to get a lot of the, I think, the goals established first. And then that'll be like, let's say, this spring and summer. And meanwhile, the zoning thing will be getting information from that. And then they'll have to, and in the meantime, we're gonna be looking at zoning types or ideas that we might want to consider being plugged in there. So then when it comes down time to actually create the zoning in the fall and next winter, we should have, I think, a pretty good picture of where we want to go with it.
And then to Dan's point, somewhere before, or in conjunction with the PVPC land use is when the strategy meetings, the game plan with both water and sewer need to be held in order to kind of get some kind of a guidance as to what's even possible,
Yeah.
both physically and economically in the next 30 years.
Yeah.
We haven't taken a strategic look at all those houses we built in the last few years either.
No.
I mean, we put probably 4,000 houses on individual site plans. Well, they have 25-year septics, and they were built with enough land, which is one of the reasons why you have frontage and size on your lots. So you have not just room to put a septic in, but a reserve system. So when that first 25 years comes up and now you got to put a second field in, you've got another 25 years, but that means 50 years, 50, 60 years, you're not going to have a septic system working anymore. And you're going to exhaust that lot. Now you're going to have sewers. How are we going to get sewers to all these houses that we built? We got to have some main lines. You know, I'm thinking like between here and Bondsville, and connect to their system so that sewers, the effluent can go one way or the other, and then take a bite out of all those houses we built off of 181 and in other neighborhoods too. That might have a lot to do with how we do the map also, is how are we just going to use the systems that we have, if there's limits on them, to take care of the people that are already here, that nobody's thinking of. What's going to happen when all the potential septic field for a house is exhausted? If you still have the house there, you're going to put a tight tank in and then come pump it once a week?
Or you rip the leach field out and bring in all new sand.
I guess you could, dig a big enough hole. You could start over again.
And one of the assumptions we're making is that a piece of property up on the top of the hill leaches exactly the same as farmland down off of Bay Road. Or South Liberty. We have a one size fits all and all that. I was talking with Kevin Williams, and he was saying on putting in water piping is now right around $1 million a mile. So, that's another aspect of what looks good on paper.
Yeah.
All right, so somehow we've got to get our arms around that whole big bunch of issues. Because if we draw a map and it's just nonsense, it doesn't meet the physical realities of what we're dealing with, it's not going to be worth the paper it's written on.
Yeah, so we got to, look at things like the soil maps maybe, but certainly the aquifer maps and our farmland, local importance plan we did a few years ago.
We need to have the health department involved.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's a big, people don't typically think of it until they get involved with stuff, but that's a big land use department.
So who are you gonna have on here? Are you gonna have like a core team working on it?
Yes.
Are you
Do you want to be the chair?
gonna- I'm just like listening to you all, like it definitely sounds like water district.
Yeah.
Conservation.
Public Works, health.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Well,
Someone from your board, probably.
Someone from my board.
I'd sure like to keep conservation in on this too, because I remember 2 years coming in here and arguing against them reducing the setback requirements for septic systems off of wetlands. It's 100 feet and they wanted to go down to 75. And I asked them, well, how does that look in our build-out plan? How many more houses is that going to allow and where are they going to be built? And by definition, aren't you putting them, closer to the most sensitive areas, which are the wetlands? And it ended up getting voted down, but, they could very easily put that into effect, without any real coordination for a master plan of how we're going to develop the town.
Much more coordination in this thing, but,
100%.
yeah.
Okay, that's a big one. Any other big ones before we move on to the smaller ones?
It seems like a sufficient list.
Well, that's got the potential to keep us busy
Yeah.
all by itself, so.
Mhm.
And it's a bottomless pit, it sounds like, of work.
Oh, it can be, yeah. That's why we need to sort of narrow it down and be more efficient. Our conversation with Fuss and Neil today, they seem to be getting frustrated because, sort of like, okay, how are we gonna boil this down into the budget we have, right? And it's like, so, okay, now we need to be a little more precise with the things we're gonna look at. So specific things might be maybe increasing the lot requirements where we want to keep farmland, or decreasing the lot area requirements where we want more house development, or, whatever it is we think we can come up with.
You're gonna be walking around kicking people in the wallet all over the place. They're not gonna be happy.
No, I know, that's the nature of zoning.
The other aspect in all of, as we look forward is, one of the things that I worry about is if we do get an east-west rail from Boston to Palmer,
Yeah.
what that does to the southern end of Belchertown in terms of the
Pressure and
The
demand.
pressure.
Yeah,
The pressure.
absolutely, yeah, and I brought that up there. It's been on my mind ever since that stop was started to be considered. Because now you're gonna have people who realize it's pretty convenient just to hop on a train and commute in. You work when you're on the train, you go to your office, and you go work and come back, and you have this nice little rural idyll.
And you also have the possibility of the money from Boston coming out and saying, I want my 5 acres.
And house prices end up doing it.
So, Mr. Chair, my thought was that
You could just call me chair. I said,
No, Mr. Chair.
Father was Mr.
My
Chair.
thought was kind of like what Mark just said earlier. This load is enough that.
Yeah.
Combined with the changes that we have coming from Boston on the ADUs and the energy, solar siting, that I think we're gonna be loaded for just handling those 3 items, the
Mhm.
planning, the ADUs and the energy.
all right, well, let's go through the rest of the exercise anyway. Do you have any smaller, more limited? No, I'll start with you.
No,
You have none?
what I wrote down was schedule of use, setbacks,
Okay.
frontages, all of the zoning planning issues.
I had thought the same thing coming in, and now having just briefly discussed it, it seems like a big chunk to bite off in and of itself.
Leonard, did you have anything in addition?
I want to open up Pandora's box. I say kneel for it.
Elizabeth, you still with us? Did you have any other goals that you wanted to throw on the list?
I'm stuck here with either hearing you and you not hearing me because the audio is off.
We can hear you.
Now we
I can hear you now.
So I've heard most of this, and I agree that it sounds as though we've already got a pretty good slice of our time booked with what we've already been discussing.
Okay.
I very much appreciate what Dan was saying about coordinating with other departments vis-a-vis things like ensuring that our wetlands and our farmlands are protected as to the best of our ability. I'd be very interested in trying to help with figuring out a way to get that coordination between departments to happen. But I don't have anything to add to the list.
Okay. Mark. do you have anything?
I have nothing else at this point, but that whole coordination effort, I think, is gonna keep us real busy for a while.
It's going to involve us having a lot of meetings with the other committees and boards in town, and hopefully it's going to be with an aspect of friendliness that we're all going to work together. I did have a couple of ones that I did put down. Doug's already mentioned one, and that is the parking part of the bylaws. That just doesn't seem to be working very well. I think we're overbuilding parking, and the sooner we stop that, the better. And come up with some other way of calculating the number of spots that are going to be needed so we don't build too much asphalt out there and end up with, and there's stores that are using their parking lots as storage units.
Yeah,
But they don't have that many customers, you know, and well, the one I had the real problem with before, I think that was their comeback, is that things have changed with the supply chain issues that continue to work their way through the system. We have to have a lot more inventory oftentimes on site, and we didn't build the building for that. We don't have the sales space and the storage space for all the inventory, so we got to put some of it out in the parking lot, and we don't have that many customers at any one time anyway. So our parking regulations should be more flexible to accommodate what's happening now out there, and they could use that other property for storage instead of designated as parking, and then having issues with zoning enforcement on having not enough parking spaces available for their permitting. So I think that even though we got a lot of other things going on, I think we ought to pull the teeth of that dragon and start scaling back on the amount of parking. And the other one, and this is going to sound a little weirder, is looking at 14524, the keeping of animals and zoning in various zoning districts. It's starting to be a bit of an issue. I mean, we've got at least one case working its way through town right now of domestic animals in residential areas. I can foresee that continuing to happen. And if there aren't more complaints out there that we just haven't even gotten yet, that are still percolating through, because people are, they're putting on domestic animals and they want to have them in the backyard. And even if they've got smaller lots, that they still want to have them out back. And I think we either need to dial up our regulation and make it more punitive, scorched earth. You're not going to have these things. Or if we're going to allow them to happen, we have to make it a little bit more flexible, so people can use their property for limited livestock operations and yet control them in such a way that we aren't creating nuisances. Yeah. I think the way we're doing it now is crazy, because we're going to end up with.
If I have an acre lot, I can put as many horses as I can jam into 1 acre. And, you know, that's,
As many as you can keep,
doesn't work.
as much as you can keep inside fence anyway. I'm sorry, Michael, you want to say something?
And I was gonna say, well, there are though the restrictions on the sanitary issues and the manure piles and
Zoning wise,
all of that.
there's no regulation.
And those are arguable points.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get that into the zoning board of appeals and
The health,
you've got committees that don't really want to step on people.
yeah. and
You know,
the health department ends up, and Paul, for whatever reason, ends up having to be in the middle of these neighbor fights because I can smell your horse crap and you're drawing flies.
Manure, Doug.
Yeah.
Call it manure.
Yes, anyway, so, yeah, I mean, those can get pretty involved at times.
Well, and there would be some kind of cross with the Ag Commission.
Yeah.
As their subject matter experts and get them in on it and say, do we have to have accepted in livestock practices? Do we have, have an actual requirement? Because the Department of Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources actually does publish generally accepted agricultural practices. And they put those out there. And then if you're following them, and the whole reason they were crafted was to give farmers something to use to protect themselves against nuisance suits for people that come in now and say, I don't like the smell of your manure,
Right.
or your horses make funny noises at 2:00 in the morning. And, it was to protect them so you could fall back on a codified scheme and say, no, this is the way the Department of Agriculture says that we should be doing it. And I'm following that, so you can't sue me for
Yeah,
damages.
but that's for a farming operation, not just a hobby horse, goat and chicken owner.
Well, then that's where maybe the keeping of animals needs to be punched up a little bit is, what do we do with the hobby people? Because that's what they usually are.
Yeah.
Is they've got small flocks or, a couple of sheep or stuff like that. Should we allow that stuff? Or should we, say that it's verboten and not allow it at all?
So you gotta have so much area and distance from the.
And we can work with that.
Which kind of overlaps back into the Fuss and O'Neill.
Mhm.
What are you gonna allow in what zoning sections of the town?
Mhm.
So village residential would have different allowances than open ag.
Exactly.
Yeah, and our map definitely needs to capture all those subdivisions we built and get them into Ag B, just for that very reason.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are, or most of them probably are still in Ag A.
And that's maybe a good thought there is with the subdivisions, that when you apply for a subdivision, that you have, that it becomes a zoning change
Mhm.
from an Ag A to an Ag B or an Ag R or
Yeah, whatever.
something else that
Make it automatic.
make it automatic. That when you create a subdivision, you give up the agricultural freewheeling stuff,
Developers probably aren't gonna care about that
No.
as long as they get
Right.
their subdivision. The only difficulty is then the zone change is to go through the process. and-
I understand it's not easy, but that then says, when you're buying into this new neighborhood, you're buying into a different set of requirements.
Yeah,
That would certainly offer protections in the case of, say, a large-scale commercial solar array, for example, that we've had issues with in the past.
I missed that. That would certainly offer protection, what?
From large-scale solar, for example, that can do it in Ag A when it's surrounded by homes. I mean, that's been argued out a number of times already. Sorry.
I got my hearing aid turned all the way up.
Mm.
Sorry, Elizabeth, we're having a hard time. We can hear your voice, but not the articulation.
Sorry. We'll catch up with you in person.
But that was protection from large solar is what you were saying?
For example, in the past, we've had a lot of debate with unhappy folks who've moved to town for their nice residential neighborhood that was a subdivision. And your idea of having a subdivision automatically become residential as opposed to Ag A makes a lot of sense.
Just one more, but the signage, you mentioned it yourself. We went through that signage and it's super duper now. Regulation. Is it being followed?
Not precisely.
So, is it a good idea to have a regulation saying you're gonna do things a certain way and then there is no conformity in the community? Should we be changing our signage to make it more with what's happening in the business scheme out there? And so people aren't in technical, default of our zoning regulations, or should we up the enforcement? I just don't think it's a good idea to pass a regulation that isn't being followed.
Yeah.
And, so we're making believe that and then when do you actually enforce it? When somebody brings a new business in here and then you're gonna stick them with the signage regulation and they can look around and see that it's not being followed in other places? I just don't think it's a good move. So we could maybe think about in our spare time whether we want to take another pass at the signage regulations.
Yeah, it might need to be touched on. For example, we might want to have an exemption for giant coffee cups.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I think, make the town more welcoming and inviting,
Yeah.
people drive in.
There was an old car wash in Seattle when I was at Big Elephant, and so there was this big statue of an elephant in the parking lot with, chase lights coming out of the trunks, it's sort of looking like a spray. Yeah,
That's nice.
it's creative.
One of the things that always bothered me about the signage bylaw is just how many pages and how prescriptive and how detailed and how in-depth that defines everything. And then we have other bylaws in there that are 2 pages so.
Building nuclear reactors.
Right, for building nuclear reactors.
No, we have 1 page for that. Well,
But
at
you've
the
got a good
time,
point.
it
You've
was,
got a good point. If you don't, if you have a law and it's not being followed nor enforced, what you've done is you've started to erode the foundation on all of the laws.
well, and I don't want to say that we're lax on that. I think that the way I would prefer to say it is the businesses that are coming to town want to have a certain amount of signage done their way. And they are not necessarily staying within the design restrictions that we wanted them to follow. But what makes us so special?
Correct,
They're the ones that got to make a living
correct.
and pay the bills,
Yes.
not us. So we ought to be a little bit more welcoming to the way business does it, even if it might irritate some people.
And that was it's so many pages and so prescriptive and so detailed that it doesn't allow for the flexibility.
We don't have
It's
flexibility.
usually good to have flexibility.
All right, while we were jawboning, anybody else have anything else that they wanted to bring up as, we've got a guest here, Jennifer Turner, a member of the select board. Is there anything that you think that we ought to be doing in particular that we haven't already talked about?
I mean, this is a lot, especially for this year. So
Okay,
anything I can help you guys with. Please let me know.
We'll hold you to that.
Yeah. You know that we're having this community summit. It's about this stuff. It's about trying to engage people. You came to the pre-summit. And, but you're all invited, is what I'm trying to say, to the summit.
This was even covered in today's, or
It was a
yesterday's
volunteer.
Hampshire Gazette.
Yeah, it wasn't about the summit specifically.
Front page article. Belchertown needs volunteers.
Yeah. But it's more about collaboration and bringing strategic visioning for the community entire, this type of stuff. But if you wanted to bring these types of concepts, like we need help with all of this stuff that you're talking about, feel free to come and network with folks about these topics.
I was going through a banker's box of stuff for planning board, throwing stuff away, and I did run across a sheet when George Simon was the chair of our goals for 2006, so 20 years ago, and it was zoning and land use planning.
Yeah.
And from that initiative, we did try to rezone some of the parcels on Federal Street.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran right into a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
Nobody was happy with it. And I don't think we actually got any of our suggested changes through.
No, nothing.
So this is going to be difficult from the salesmanship point
Yeah,
also.
It will be. That's going to be, I think, the bigger challenge is selling it to the community. And these people are not here to ruin their lives. They're trying to build a better town.
Okay, to put a pin in this for the night, in your spare time, could you put together a list of our goals for the year? So it's on a 1/2 page, just bullet points.
Our goals for the year.
Yeah,
To do zoning and land use.
yeah,
And
Parking
then
signage.
parking, signage, and keeping of animals.
Okay. Parking.
So not to compound this issue, but you were referring to the 4,000 houses that have been built in, what did you say, 10 years? Is that-
well, it's 20.
Okay, so 20. So let's say in the next 20 years, we go down that same trajectory, right? We build another 4,000 houses here, but where is that going to leave us? Right, so I think that has to be part of the conversation
Mhm.
of where the future is going to go. How many more subdivisions are we going to throw in here? When do we stop? When do we stop? Right?
Yeah.
And like
And
we
What's the
were
build
referring
out
to,
capacity?
like for a moment about lot sizes and frontage, right? So I think if we expand that, it is where I'd like to go with it, because I'd like the development to stop.
Yeah.
Is where I'm at.
So there's an approach that says, instead of going for individual residential freestanding, you start looking at more consolidated housing, whether it's townhouses or cluster housing or tighter communities that are kind of like mini villages. More of a European type of approach to land ownership and housing density. But yeah, if we're going to keep going with individually owned houses on 1 acre minimum, there's only so many acres that and then we're done.
Yeah.
You know, you put a sign at the entrance that says closed for business.
Well, I mean, the other part to it too is like our infrastructure can't handle it.
Yeah.
So correct. And I was talking this morning about like the condominiums on Ware Road have a communal water supply. And I assume they have a communal septic. I don't know.
I think they do.
I don't know, but you can do that. You know, you can have a communal water supply and a communal septic and then do very high density housing without having to have the town expand their water and sewer capability. But it's a whole different economics. And it's a whole different approach.
Yeah, it is, and Pine Valley had their own septic, which is this enormous field, and it kept failing. So that's when we had to bring the sewer down Springfield Road so they could tie into it. And we would have gone up Pepper Ridge, connecting it to, what's it?
Ledgewood.
Ledgewood. They didn't want to do it because they, apparently too many of them had just replaced their septic systems.
We did try to slow things down in the first part of the last decade. Because what we tried to implement was limiting the number of building permits. That could be given out in a year. That's it. You know, we're gonna go to this many and that's it. And that, none of that got passed. And people were very angry about it. I still have burns on my butt from going down in flames at town meeting, trying to do that. But what slowed everything down was the 2008 bubble. The housing bubble crashed. And it hasn't really built back up again. Or things might have continued right down the line, you know. So it was other factors that ended up pulling the plug on that.
Well, instead of 100 new houses a year, we're getting 25, you know, so. But, yeah, that's still.
There's people in town that want more.
Yeah.
They think that we ought to be building more houses.
Yeah.
So,
Well, police force can't handle it, fire can't handle it,
right,
DPW can't handle it, I mean.
yeah, and people expect those services to be there.
And I need my taxes reduced.
Mhm.
I think they
I
tied it
don't want to do
together,
business.
more housing with the
You're
lower
gonna
taxes,
pay for that.
it doesn't
Yeah.
work that way.
Doesn't work the other way either.
Right, right. The number of houses you have coming in, you still need services, so.
So, there's
we're ready to move along? I thought this was gonna be a real short meeting and we'll gab it.
That's okay, I prolonged it because my wife doesn't like it when I come home too early.
Yeah. Yeah, she needs time to get the dancing boys out of the house, huh? That's what I always used to say about mine. Town plan report.
There's more.
Okay. Lake Wallace Woods Trail, the winning bidder is the same company that built the Sensory Trail. We're not surprised. Guy's unbeatably cheap. And so that will start to happen whenever he gets around to it. Pretty busy guy. Next meeting, March 10th, continued public hearing on our one only new subdivision, Mishi Moon. And town meetings on May 11th, and town elections May 18th, and we have one person who's running for reelection, and you must have at least one. Is that you? Okay.
Yeah, on Mishimun, did I understand the email correctly that as far as the exit onto Ware Road, did they basically just send us a 20-year-old letter?
Well, they.
Or was there more to that?
Well, the fire department looked at the new plans and talked it over with them.
Well, that was for the turning onto
Turning onto Aldrich.
Aldrich Street, but the turning onto Ware Road.
Oh, Ware Road, I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, their argument is it's already there. You approved a subdivision before and there haven't been any, there's no record of car crashes at that site because of it.
And so they're sticking with that.
They're sticking with that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the only crash in that neighborhood was when somebody drove into a UPS truck. But that wasn't because of that intersection.
That's not gonna come to us as a waiver, though.
No, I don't think it is.
All right, it's gonna be interesting how we work this one out. I don't wanna get too far into it, though. Because
Well,
I'm
they're
not
gonna,
here.
they could easily argue, well, that's not our subdivision. Our subdivision's here and we're fine. But you're gonna say, well, you got this little bridge over here and this.
I'm gonna suggest we don't
Don't get too.
debate the subdivision in this meeting.
Good point.
Let's go back to the town planner report.
I have enough for now. We don't have much else. Oh, we got this, energy sighting, that's going on. So they have one of their webinars tomorrow night and another one now Friday. So I registered for that, and then we're trying to find a meeting time next week where whoever of you can come, and Steve and Linda and whoever else, conservation, wants to be part of that. To say, so what are we gonna do? Let's think about what we're gonna do.
So I replied back on that with my schedule.
Okay, thank you.
All set?
I'm all set.
Leonard, do you have anything you'd like to share with the town?
You know,
Cameron, do you have anything you'd like to share?
No, tonight, no.
I'm fine.
Nothing here, thanks.
Elizabeth, is there anything you wanted to share with us?
Nope.
Nope. All right, the only thing I wanted to bring up was everybody's done their annual campaign finance and ethical reports, right? Everybody's in compliance with that. We're not gonna get any nasty grams from the town clerk's office, right? Right. Nothing else? I'll make a motion that we adjourn. It is 8:20, a reasonable time.
I'll second.
Motion made second, no discussion on that. All in favor? Roll call vote, yeah. Aye. 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 Elizabeth, it's a thumbs up. All right. I can turn the owl off.
I didn't even have to put out my glasses.
Thank you, Jennifer.